Ladies and gentlemen, if I could just have a moment of your attention, please. In a few moments, we're going to be starting the service here for Bob. And first and foremost, on behalf of the family, thank you all for coming and showing your support here in person and at home via the live stream. Before we get started, I just have a couple announcements to be made. Firstly, if anyone has a cell phone, I just ask that you turn that off, just so that we have no interruptions during the service. Thank you. And immediately following the service here today, the family has graciously arranged for a time of fellowship and reception downstairs in the lower lounge. So at the end of the ceremony, we'll be recessing down the center aisle, making our way downstairs and sharing some more memories and stories. If anyone here needs use of an elevator, just ask one of our staff and we'd be happy to assist. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming today. I know it's a tough day for all of us. But anyways, I've written a few things I remember about Bob, and probably a few I've forgotten also. So I'll do my best and hope it tells you what Bob was all about. But like I said, I'm sure if you looked up the name Robert, it would have Bob in brackets. Bob was with family for over 50 years. Bob is an amazing husband and the best dad you could wish for. He was so proud of his grandchildren, and as a friend, he always referred to you as bro, like he was your brother. And always that smile that made you feel welcome. Bob, in brackets, had many talents, woodworking and carving beautiful birds. He even tried his hand at sheet metal, putting a new roof on his gazebo at his home. Anyways, Bob called me one day at the cottage and asked me about installing this metal roof. And after I'd finished giving him different ideas, I said to him, geez, Bob, you might be a better sheet metal worker than a mechanic. And you wouldn't want to know what he said to me. Bob also built a beautiful home in Sanford, Ontario, doing most of the work himself. And there's a little story. Him and I went out one Sunday morning to do a bit of plumbing, and he was rebuilding a Chevelle. I believe it was a Chevelle. I'm not sure what year it was, but he was putting new floorboards in this Chevelle, and I'd made up the floorboards from in the shop. So in the meantime, he'd ripped out all the seatbelt assemblies, and they were in the back seat. And on the way home on the Sunday evening, we're cruising through King City, and lo and behold, the red lights go on an OPP cruiser. And this woman cop gets out, and she totally looked like Anne-Marie. So I said to Bob, geez, I think I'll get her to sing Snowbird. And he said to me, shit, don't say anything, I'm in trouble. So she got to the car and asked for his license. And she said to Bob, and this is the first time I've heard him referred to as Robert. She said, do you go under the name Robert or Bob? And she said, Bob. Or he said, Bob. And she said, well, Bob, you're in a lot of trouble. And she looked at me and she said, how come your passenger's not wearing the seatbelt? And I figured, well, it can't hurt. So I reached around and handed her the seatbelt of somebody that was sitting in the back seat. And she says, oh my God. And lo and behold, she let him off with everything. I guess she had so much fun enjoying what she was seeing, she just let it go. But anyways, that's another story. And we all know Bob was a great guy and always there to help. Wendy, your vows from 51 years ago stayed true, for better or for worse. Becky and Stacy, you were your dad's rock, and he knew it. He was well looked after. And Izzy, you were his little rock. So tonight, when you get home, take a look in the mirror, and you'll see 4 wonderful people. Thank you.
Hello. Normally, I don't do public speaking, but I will for this. Growing up, I did not have a dad like most of my friends did. I had a grandpa. He was and still is the most kind-hearted, wonderful, smartest, sweetest, loving man that I've ever known. He loved hockey, and my mom says one of her favorite memories is when I was only 2 years old, sitting on his lap when he was in his chair, and he would point out hockey players on a picture on the wall beside. He taught me how to say Tim Horton was the best. It's funny to think about how one day we'd be saying that about hockey players, and then down the line about donuts. When I found out he had died, I was in a lot of shock, so much shock that I didn't cry. I just sat in silence while my mom hugged me, and she told me how much he loved me, and he was so proud of me, and I knew that he was. Whenever I was a kid and I would get a good grade on a math test that he had helped me study for weeks before, or I came home excited that an art project I'd done was in the school lobby, or I came home excited and anticipating an audition that I had done for a school play, whatever it was, when I heard how excited he was and how happy he was for me and I saw the smile on his face, I always knew he was so unbelievably proud of me, and I knew how much he loved me with all his heart. It feels very weird and wrong not having him in the house, waking up and not seeing him watching TV or eating breakfast. And it's something that I know me and my mom and my grandma will have to get used to. But no matter how long it takes and how painful and hard it is, we all are going to be there for each other because that's what he would have wanted, and I love him.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Stacy. I'm Bob's daughter, if it's not glaringly obvious by this face. Forgive me, I'm not as eloquent as my family. And I didn't know what I was going to say today or if I was going to be able to talk. But I think about what I would say to my sons, which I have said to my sons, is that Grandpa might be gone, but the love is here, and the love never goes away. And so I thought of a list of things that will remind me of my dad. And some of it might make sense, some of it might not, because it's too personal to me or my family. But I'm going to read them out, and hopefully some of them ring true to you, and maybe you can tell me things that maybe remind you of my dad later. And when these things happen, when I have these memories, it's like he's right next to me, so like I said, the love is never going to be gone. It's just coming to me in a different form, I guess. So, I mean, right out the bat, the smell of a wood shop, fresh cut wood, sawdust, that's my dad. Rocket candies, remember we used to negotiate for them at Halloween. Lemon heads specifically because they were rare and he and I loved them the most. A specific checker game called King's Court. We used to play it when there was a blackout, and I think I was pretty good at it. So was he. Jean jackets. Just all jean jackets in general. That's my dad. Hockey, obviously. National Geographic. We had, I think, like hundreds in the house growing up, and I would attest that he could pull some knowledge from any one of those books at any time. The smell of cars, specifically auto repair shops. It's like oil and concrete, a little cold. I remember his shop, right? Yeah, that's him. Anytime I stubbornly insist that I can make or fix something by myself, that's my dad. I can't fix it all the time, but I sure will try. Led Zeppelin songs, specifically the Immigrant Song. I'm more particular to Tangerine and Going to California, but the song Candyman, we have a video of my dad really belting it in the van and his three backup singers just loving that song. It makes me smile. Birds, all birds, specifically chickadees. The first bird he ever carved was a chickadee. the feeling of a job well done, a really good mustache. It just is. And I know it's not like the loveliest smell, but the smell of cigarettes. I can't help it. He always had the cigarette in his mouth or the cigarette smell on his jacket, and I still breathe that in and think of him. So, yeah. So if you have anything like this, I would love to hear it. And I'm grateful to have so many things to have him with me all the time now. And I'm just very grateful for my sister and my mom and Izzy, that he was well loved every day of his life to the last. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Paul. I worked with Bob met Bob at Humberview Motors. This is back on 1978. And I was just an apprentice, and Bob was a licensed mechanic, and he was a specialist there doing front-end work. And I'll never forget when he first started there. Oh my God, he was mad at somebody for something, and he was yelling and screaming, and you could hear him through the whole shop. It was like, oh my God. And I was thinking, geez, I'm not going near this guy. Oh my God. But we'd all sit together for lunch at Humberview. We had this little round table. There'd be a little group of us. And after you got to know Bob, you realized what a great guy he was. And all that yelling and screaming and everything else was just a facade, because he was a big pussycat, really. Just a super nice guy. And one of the memories I have there is of him bringing his father-in-law's, Ross's state truck, this big Ford state truck, into the shop. And it needed a transmission overhaul. And Bob, studied transmissions in trade school like the rest of us, but he'd never actually done a transmission rebuild. But there was a trainee guy there at Humberview, and gave him a few pointers, this, that, and the other thing. So Bob ordered the clutch pack for this truck, brought the truck in. This was after work, and dropped the transmission, rebuilt it all, put it back in, and he had it out of there that night. I was amazed, but Bob, there's nothing he couldn't fix. There was nothing he couldn't do. Whatever it was, Bob had the ability to do that, And from there, I remember he went to Canadian Tire in Brampton. He worked there for a while as a mechanic. And later on, he had his own shop in Caledon East. And while I was going to college, I worked there a couple of summers with him. And it was, a lot of fun. It was always fun to go into work with Bob. We always had a good time. And he was, ran that shop by himself, which isn't easy to do. You're, bringing cars in from every make and model, and he was able to fix them, And then Wendy and Bob had a little video rental shop in that area. I forget the name of yeah, Couch Potato Video, right? But so they had that so there's memories there. But yeah, one of just when I think of Bob, it's just we always talked about the Leafs. Oh my God, night and day. We'd be on the phone. She'd get on the phone and say, "Bob, dinner's ready," and we'd been on the phone for like 2 hours. and when you say, "What do you guys talk about?" Oh my God, and then and my mom would call me up later. I've been trying to reach for the last 2 hours. What's going, you know? Were you talking to your girlfriend? No. Bob Turner? So anyways, and I always, anybody that was dear to me, I always had a nickname for them, and I don't know why, but for Bob, I just started calling him Bobolino. That was his nickname for me, Bobolino. And I was thinking last night when the Toronto Maple Leafs fired the general manager, Brad Treliving, I heard about it around 10 o'clock at night, and I just thought, yeah, if Bob was alive, I would have been on the phone with him for sure, talking about that, But anyways, he was a great guy. I really, I'll miss him. Thanks.
This is just a little note from his cousin Jeff Turner, and it's for Wendy and her family. And it says, please accept our condolence from myself and my family with the passing of Uncle Bob. I'm very sorry to hear that he'd been sick for some time. Thinking back now, Bob reminded me of Jack Black, the Schoolhouse Rock. Some mannerisms, nature, and love of rock music. My last recollection was with when I was about 12 years old at Grandma and Granddad's house on Codsall Avenue. Bob was playing Deep Purple by Machine Head, and he was crazy over it. He was saying, "Isn't that great? It's contagious." And it's so funny now. This is one of my favorite albums. Bob was a great guy, my funniest uncle, always on the lookout for fun. After another thing I remember was he had a Volkswagen Beetle, a 90 horsepower Super Beetle. Anyways, he revved it up like crazy and laid rubber down the road in front of Codsall House. Just harmless fun, and that was what I remember about Bob. Much love. Thank you.
So, our families knew each other for forever. Wendy changed my diapers when I was a baby. So that's how long we've known each other. Bob came into her life and he kind of like was his force, We really hit it off. We'd always start our conversations with, "Hey, shithead." And I'd say, "Yeah, what's up, shithead?" And he taught me a lot about different things, and he was always just, as everyone said, just a down to earth, came from the soul, and even so, this one event, we went to a Supertramp concert at the C&E, and everyone was, carrying these watermelons on their shoulder. And I was like, what the hell's going on with that? Well, found out later on that people were boring a hole in the watermelon, they dumped their liquor in there, and then they could eat the watermelon, right? So we go in, and of course we don't have watermelon. So we're sitting we go and find our spot, and Bob says, "Oh, I got something for you," and he pulls out a Mickey out of his boot. So we carried on to enjoy the rest of the concert, which, unbeknownst to me, was going to be a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. But as I said, Bob was a great human. He's obviously a great father, great husband, and a great friend. Thanks.
Thank you very much for sharing. Is there anyone else here that would like to say a few words? I'll give an opportunity to step back, but if not, then... Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're now coming to the completion of the service here today for Bob. Thank you for all those tributes that we shared. It must be tough coming forward and sharing. It must take a lot of courage, so I can only imagine, but thank you all for sharing. A friendly reminder that the reception is going to be occurring downstairs in the lower lounge, so at the very end we'll recess down the center aisle, making our way downstairs. Just in the lobby of the funeral home, we'll have a memory jar set up. And I think a lot of people have already made use of that, but there's a little jar that we have and some pieces of paper. You can write down a memory or a story or a phrase. That's something that you can fold up, place inside the jar, and that's something that the family receives afterwards so they can reflect upon it. So if you haven't made use of it yet, then please do so. At this time, I'll ask for everybody to please rise.
It's hockey night tonight. Tension grows, the whistle blows, and the puck goes down the ice. The goalie jumps and the players bump and the fans all go insane. Someone roars, Bobby scores at the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Second period, where players dash with skates aflash, the home team trails behind, but they grab the puck and go bursting up and they're down across the line. They storm the crease like bumblebees, they travel like a burning flame. We see them slide the puck inside, it's a 1-1 hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Third period, last game in the playoffs too. Oh, take me where the hockey players face off down the rink, and the Stanley Cup is all filled up for the champs who win the drink. Now the final flick of a hockey stick and a one gigantic scream. The puck is in, the home team wins the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Hello out there, we're on the air, it's hockey night tonight. Tension grows, the whistle blows, and the puck goes down the ice. The goalie jumps and the players bump and the fans all go insane. Someone roars, Bobby scores at the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Second period, where players dash with skates aflash, the home team trails behind, but they grab the puck and go bursting up and they're down across the line. They storm the crease like bumblebees, they travel like a burning flame. We see them slide the puck inside, it's a 1-1 hockey game.